If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my. I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to CFB Player Performance Knowledge for College Edition. It is Friday night, week 3, September the 12th, 2025. A great show to come. Last week we came out here and we said we had no ranked matchups, no data, basically nothing. Went 7-2 anyway. Now we got big time ball. We got a bunch of rivalry matchups. Gunz, I'm excited to be here. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, I wish I just gave my show plays as VIPs because I would have done really well. But, the plays that I gave out to the VIPs, hand up, first 2 weeks, I'm always bad. I always go through these 2-week slumps, and then all of a sudden, everything just picks up, and we just go on a pure domination in college football. Mind you, I've been profitable last 4 years in college football. I want to continue it in the 5th year. Same thing with the NFL. We're going to continue to dominate, and let's keep it going. We got a big card this week, way better than last week. And I can't wait to talk about my boys, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and A&M today. Shark, I'm ready for week 3. Let's do it.
As am I. We see you guys in the chat. We're having a little trouble on X right now. If you guys are on YouTube, join the chat. Drop your plays. We're firing up. It's Friday in September. We only have one more Friday in the summer. We're getting into the fall, and the cards will get better, and it starts now. First game of the card tomorrow at 3:30. Saturday is out for sending it. Sending it here, no doubt. Big time SEC football. Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia's beaten Tennessee 8 straight times. The last time Tennessee won a game versus Georgia, it was 2016. It was Josh Dobbs throwing to Jawan Jennings a long time ago. 8-game winning streak for Georgia. Georgia hasn't looked particularly good in the early going. 0-2 ATS, both out of conference. Tennessee looks hot. 2 blowout wins. Gunz, I think this is week 3. This is where it flips the other direction. I think we look at Georgia in this game.
I mean, I know the line's dropping in the wrong direction. You may think that's a sharp angle on this one. I'm telling you, don't do it. I was like, Georgia, this is what they do. They lull you to sleep with all these FCS opponents and lackluster teams, but they don't do well in those positions. All they do is they get enough for the win, and they practice on domination, their defense, and then they try to work some stuff out of the offense. They don't give a lot away for other teams to scout on. They're going to go against this Tennessee team on the road. First real big challenge. They've done this before. They've been very good in this situation. 8-0 straight up, 7-1 ATS last 8 meetings with Tennessee. This is the lowest spread since 2015. I will say that. Line did open pretty high, actually above a possession earlier in the year as the game of the year. Now it's down to 4.5 now. It was bounced down to 3.5. When I look at this game, I'm looking towards the first half. And the reason being is if Georgia's going to choke you out in this game, they're going to choke you out early. And that's how they kind of play this game. And I know everybody's going to be thinking that the sharp angle to take Tennessee. When do you trust Luke Heupel over Kirby Smart? I mean, Kirby Smart, I know. This is where practices get harder for his team. This is where he pumps up. This is when he gets his team prepared to go on the road in Knoxville and just get a job done in their SEC opener. And we've seen it before, and it's not going to change. Don't be dumb. Don't take Tennessee. I don't like the full game because there is chicanery. I know that Kirby Smart is not great on the road as a favorite. You check his records, he's on a little bit of a cold streak when it comes to those numbers. But the first half has some validity. And if you can get it under 3, I think there's -2.5 on the board there. That's what that I would take on that one. Not an official play, obviously. Won't be on my VIP card. But I think taking Georgia in the first half is the way I'd play this game.
Yeah, I mean, as we go forward in the college football season, the first half bets are going to be incredibly accessible as teams go road to home, off a win, off a loss. And I know a lot of sharp handicappers truly don't look at the numbers as much as the shark and the gun do. They just look at the bounce back, and they say they lost last week. They're going to go the other direction. And as I said when I introed this game, I think this is going to flip the other direction. I think Georgia underperforms out of conference as a huge favorite. I think Tennessee has pretty much cleaned up really pedestrian competition so far. Blew out Syracuse. Syracuse, not what they were back in the Donovan and McNabb days, that's for sure. And last week, FCS ETSU. I mean, Gunz, you'll be on here January 10th buying ETSU in the college basketball market.
Yeah, you know I will.
This is not a college football team. It's 72 points last week. This kid, Joey Aguilar, coming over from App State. And for anybody who knows App State, Gunz was just saying to me before the show, This kid throws a ton of interceptions. And I remember being involved in App State games the last couple of years, either betting on them or against. Total, utter chaos. Kirby Smart and these boys are going to come in here, lock it down, and take care of business. Our free play in this game, take Georgia. The Bulldogs are barking on the road. Dominates. Next game on the card, in-state Florida football. Not exactly where we thought we would be here in week 3. South Florida at Miami. South Florida, probably the biggest surprise in all of FBS football. All of a sudden, ranked 18th in the country off back-to-back wins, a blowout against Boise State, and the surprise of the year last weekend in Gainesville, 18-16 going away. This game for me is difficult. Is USF the real deal, or is this where it comes to an end? Gunz, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just going to put this hat on right now and just go with the U. I mean, really, when we look at this game, am I going to take it from a side perspective? No, because of the line correlation, right? I think last year they were a minus 17 road, and now you're seeing probably around the same line as you did last year. It was pure domination from Miami. 50-15 was the score in that one. So, but I'm really interested in the total, and I know you guys are dropping a lot of comments and questions in the chat. Don't worry, we will get to your questions. We want to get through the plays, and then we'll have a little bit of Q&A. So keep dropping your questions in the chat, and then we will get to them at the end of the show. But when we look at this game, Miami just on the third leg of a 4-game homestand, so they're comfortable in this position, and they're off a lack, going against an FCS opponent and Bethune-Cookman getting the win in that one. And you got USF. That's probably the stock is extremely high. The price is high with this team. Previous 2 games, if you actually look at the outcomes of those games, I think there is a little bit misleading outcomes because Boise State had a -3 turnover ratio in that game. Boise State had 3 turnovers and 3 turnovers on downs in that game. They were going for it on 4th down and unsuccessful every single time, giving USF field position. USF turned those into 17 points, by the way. Only 6 turnovers. They only turned into 17 points, but it was enough to get the victory. And then you got to look at Florida. Florida settled for 3 straight field goals and got picked off in USF territory, left points on the board. And that's more of the coaching. I think Napier is on his way out. He's packed his bags. He's got his little box. He's going to be out, and he's lost that team completely. We'll get to that game in a second when we talk about Florida and LSU. These teams met, and like I said, 50-15 was the score, 17-point road favorites in that situation, but the total was high in that one. It was 65. Now you're seeing it here at 56.5, and I think it's dropping. That's when I bought in on it. But you look at that correlation there of a significant drop-off, and the line tells you everything you need to know. I think USF, the patine has gone off this guy, going against 3 straight ranked opponents back-to-back-to-back, not leaving the state of Florida, by the way. But I think this is going to be more correlated to an under. I think between these 2 teams, I think that Miami defense has improved. The defensive coordinator for them, coming over from Minnesota, you saw it against Notre Dame. I do believe that defense has gotten a lot better when they have the right defensive coordinator in there. Look for this to be a low-scoring affair in Miami. Give me USF Miami under 56.5 as the play.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as you mentioned, it's been kind of a defensive showcase for USF so far. I mean, opportunistic to a degree against Boise State, but pretty much domination last week against Billy Napier and the boys in North Florida. I think this is going to be an under as well. And last year, it was just the Cam Ward show. He's playing on Sundays now, obviously. 400 yards passing, 40 yards rushing. Miami had 592 yards last year on the road in Tampa, which is, of course, where South Florida plays at Raymond James Stadium. This is really line functionality at its finest. The line was 65.5. This moves down over 10 points. This is Carson Beck, but truly, this is a trap game for Miami. As much as we don't want to buy USF because we think they're potentially unsustainably hot and are just going to hit the wall here, this is really a tough spot, and it's a look ahead for Miami. Miami's next 3 games, home against Florida, at Florida State, and home against Louisville. So as much as USF's a fade, Miami's a fade in this game as well, and it is a short line. I have Miami to win this game by 12 points. I would actually lean towards USF keeping this close. One final point on the unsustainability of USF. It's only their third game of the year. Oftentimes when you see these ATS darlings early season, it comes to an end week 5, 6, or 7. Week 3 is still young. They can still have this energy, and it is a trap spot for Miami. Best look in the game, take the under, and do look for a game falling inside of 15 points. A lot of conversation in-state in Florida, an opportunity to dominate. Next game on the card, we're going prime time. Huge stuff here. SEC football, LSU hosting the Florida Gators in Baton Rouge. We saw it last week. We just talked about it. This is the end of the road for Billy Napier. The guy looks like he's lost the locker room. They have a young quarterback. The boosters are talking all sorts of trash. Gunz probably has more insider information than I have. We both don't love Brian Kelly as a person. Not that we really know him or anything, but he just seems like kind of a dick. Well, I'll tell you this. You want guys like that at home in revenge games against poorly coached teams. Gunz, I could only look towards Brian Kelly and the Tigers here.
He's more than a dick. He's morally corrupt, and he killed a kid. And I will say that over and over again. But this time, the only way I'm going to back this is LSU. Even though I hate Brian Kelly's guts, this is about making money here, right? While I'm not going to be taking it to the side, I'm more focused on the total because I think there's a better opportunity on the total. You talk about Florida coming off that loss, 18-16 to USF. I already talked about how they messed that game up, but they were minus 36 net yards in that game against USF. It's absolutely abysmal. LSU is kind of taking care of business. They took care of business against La Tech. They took care of business against Clemson, but more on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. The strength is their defense. They held Clemson to 261 yards of total offense. They held La Tech last week to 154 yards of total offense. 58 rushing yards and 31 rushing yards correlated in both of those, so they can stop the run. Then the LSU offense, like I said, has struggled in their first games, only putting up 17 and 23 points in game 1 and game 2 in the first 2 games. I really don't, for some reason, that offense is bad right now with Nussmeier, and I think it's basically on the fact that their offensive line is really struggling. You got to think that a lot of those linemen from last year went to the NFL. The protection is depleted, and when you got a pocket passer with no protection, guess what happens? Sacks happen, mistakes throwing the ball. Even the run game gets messed up on that one. So I think the offense is going to take a step back this year, but the defense is going to take a step up and really pick up this team. LSU 5-1 straight up in ATS in the last 6 meetings versus Florida. They did lose last year, so there is a revenge angle, but it doesn't correlate to the line for me. So I'm going to step back from that one. What I find interesting, though, is the over is 6-1 in the last 7 meetings, but last year it went under at a 57. Now you're seeing the total here plummet. I bought it at 48.5. Now you're seeing 47s and 47.5 hit the board. I think it's just going to continue to drop. You're not going to get that number anymore. It's an under all day long with these two teams. I think the Florida side with Billy Napier, they're making mistakes all over the place. Shark even said it in backstage. The penalties were egregious with Florida in that game versus USF. And LSU's offense is a little bit broken right now, but the defense isn't. And I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't trust Florida's offense. I don't trust LSU's offense. Look for a low scoring affair in this rivalry in the swamp. Give me under 48.5 as the play.
Yeah, I completely align with all of it. The under is a great look in this game. And just jumping off it further, you did see an extreme over 2 years ago between these two teams. It was November 11th, 2023, back in the fall of 2023. The Shark and the Gun were on there back then. We're here now and fired up. But it was Jaden Daniels versus Graham Mertz. Final score in the game was 52-35 over 68. Last year, Nussmeier at Lagway, really low scoring, lower line now. It's going to be an under. And as we said, Gunz has the hat on. I don't own any LSU apparel. I probably should order some overnight here. I think a blowout is coming. I could honestly see somewhere in the range of like 28-10 in this game. I think the revenge is real. Napier is out the door. This team is in shambles. This is not a bounce back. When you lose to USF as a 17.5-point favorite, it wasn't even an outlier game. USF dominated the game. They had more yards. I believe they had more first downs, more time of possession. And as Gunz mentioned, one further sign of losing a group is penalties. Last week, Florida had over 100 penalty yards. Don't go anywhere near Florida. Our official play in this game, take the under and let's cash. Keeping it moving, more primetime football. Big night to ensue tomorrow night on Saturday. Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Great stuff here. I mean, we talk about this every show. Gunz is the biggest Notre Dame fan on the planet. There's no bias in this handicap. This is where you want to look towards Notre Dame. Notre Dame took a loss in the opener and then had a bye week right after it. I mean, you talk about like perfect timing off a loss. You saw this last year. They lost early season to Northern Illinois and then came back the following week at Purdue and was up over 40 points at the half. I'm looking at Notre Dame significantly. Gunz, fandom, analysis, you got it all. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I'm on the fence about this one. I got to think about it. All right. I don't know. Cue my music.
Here come the Irish of Notre Dame.
That's right, boys. It's Notre Dame or nothing on this game. Texas A&M is going to get cooked. Those Aggies are done. They're going into South Bend. This is not a fan play. No. This is a pure handicap on this one. You look at Notre Dame. They're coming off a bye. That is preparation going into this game. This is the first home game of the year. They're playing their home opener. And guess what time they're playing their home opener? At night in Notre Dame. It is going to be rocking in South Bend. And if you look at Freeman, he prepares his teams off a bye. 8-1 ATS going back to 2023, and they're winning by an average margin of 25.2 points per game. Yes, there are some cream puffs that are in there, but there's also some legitimate ACC teams that are in that mix as well. I'm telling you, this is the only spot to be taken on this one. A&M is coming off back-to-back wins, 42-24 to UTSA, and then they played Utah State. Lackluster teams on this one. What I find alarming about this one, and I think is going to be a weak point on the season with the A&M Aggies, their run game, or the defensive side run game, sucks. They are bad. UTSA put up 203 yards rushing against them in game one, 6.2 yards per carry. And guess what Notre Dame can do? They can run the football. They have a good offensive line. They have two great running backs, one of the top running backs in the country, and Jeremiah Love. Jadarian Price is no slouch either. He is a very good running back. You saw him in that Miami game. He was the lead rusher. So I think it's a little back and forth between those two teams, and look for some over rushing props on those two guys. I'm telling you, they are going to run the rock. I know there's weather coming in the area too, so it's going to be a little bit sloppy, and that is great for running football. And when you look at the line correlation, they were +3 dogs on the road last year, Notre Dame was, and they won the game outright. Now you're seeing them as a possession higher, -6.5, -7. I bet they'll get over 7.5 before the kickoff on this one. Notre Dame is also 10-2 ATS as a single-digit favorite last 2 years, and 3-0 ATS at home versus ranked opponents. This is an Irish smash. Just tell me. I'm not saying put your mortgage. I say bet responsibly, but put your mortgage on it. Bet responsibly. Put your mortgage on it. Bet responsibly. That's how I bet this game. And for the record, for a disclaimer, Brian Kelly did not kill a kid is more of my opinion. That's what I'm going to say with that one. Give me Notre Dame -6.5 as a play.
Yeah, I'm gonna go right back to where I started talking about this game before you decided to play that amazing song, and the energy is real on a suddenly not so casual Friday night. But I'm looking at the first half, and I'm going to give you guys the free play here. Take Notre Dame -3.5 in the first half, and it really is the bounce back, and it's something that Gunz has talked about for the last couple of years. It's Marcus Freeman. The guy is a player's coach, but he does command respect. Last week or 2 weeks ago on this show, I said he's like a Sean McVay in the NFL. He's young. He's a player's coach. He's very psychologically aware of his players, but he does have enough discipline to really get the perfect balance between being with the guys and above them enough in terms of the hierarchy and the discipline. They're going to come out here firing. And as Gunz mentioned, this Texas A&M sample has been unimpressive so far. 2 wins. UTSA and Utah State are not representative of anything here. This is where Notre Dame will bounce back. It will be early and often. Take the first half, and per the gun, the game, you get two shots here in one game. We're going to cash 2 units in this game, and we will keep it moving. We got 4 more games on the card. These are slightly smaller market games, but those you guys have been watching us for a bunch of years now. We love the small markets. Less eyeballs, more access. Not to say we don't like the big-time matchups this week, because we do, but these games also great. First one on the card, 12 noon. We're going to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Underwood coming back home. Took a loss last week. We gave it to you guys officially. Best bet on the show. We said take Oklahoma. Now I think Michigan probably does bounce back. Underwood looked pretty good in the opener, in a very similar spot at the Big House. Central Michigan comes in here. This is not Central Michigan with Antonio Brown. This is a mediocre team. Huge line, minus 29.5. Guns, I'm looking at a blowout. You're looking at the under.
Yeah, that's the only way I'm going to play this one. I think it's a little bit of a situational sandwich when we look at this Michigan team. Even though they're coming off the loss, people go like, oh, it's bounce back time. They're going to throttle this Central Michigan team. Maybe they will, but I don't think it's going to go over the total. I think it kind of correlates when you see a large spread and a low total. It's probably going to be the only team that's going to score in this one is going to be Michigan, but I don't trust the spread. I trust the total. Lowest total of the year, though, for Central Michigan. Even though we're 3 games in, this is going to be a low total. Same thing with Michigan. Low total. Last week was 44 versus Oklahoma. It's 42.5 in this one. That went under. So that gives you some sort of correlation there. Situational sandwich. Like I said, coming off that deflating loss, going on the road in Norman at night, which we picked right. Oklahoma absolutely smashed them. Throttled them, actually. That offense is still growing and trying to figure its stuff out. And by the way, I heard Sharon Miller answer. I saw him in a press conference talking about why you didn't throw the ball a lot with Bryce Underwood. Is like they were afraid that he was going to get hurt. They have no depth at quarterback other than him. So, and running him is going to be a problem in this one. So they're playing him with, safe gloves and not really letting him go absolutely loose. And I don't think this is going to be one of those situations here, because next week, Big Ten opener on the road, Nebraska. This is a look-ahead spot. They're not looking at Central Michigan at all. I think this is a perfect spot to be taking the under. Michigan is also 6-1 to the under versus MAC conference teams in their last 7, and 10-4 to the under versus non-conference team last 3 years. So I think we're looking at a low-scoring affair in the Big House. Central Michigan under 42.5 is the way I play this game.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, this is just a classic. It's almost like an NFL game where you see these huge spreads and low totals. It's what Gunn said. Central Michigan's not going to score much here, and this is probably projected to be a blowout. I don't love the game, but if I was going to give you guys any sort of lean for a parlay or any sort of just, fun play in this game at noon, look towards Michigan. I see something along the lines of like 34-3 or like just in that range. It's going to be tight. You guys know this who follow college football like we do. Oftentimes these big lines are one possession lines. They're very well adjusted. So be careful in this game, but the under for the gun. My next official play here, also smaller market. One side smaller market, one side big market. Iowa State at Sunbelt, Arkansas State. Not a ton of complexity here, but definitely good details. Iowa State coming off an under in their big rivalry game last week against Iowa. I made the mistake on this show and officially giving you guys the over. It was wrong, but I think staying the course is now right. This Arkansas State team is not defending at all. These teams actually played last year at Iowa State. Iowa State lit them up for 52 points. And you already saw Iowa State this year light up South Dakota for 55. Very noticeable polarization for Iowa State so far. They're actually 2-0 versus the under versus big time teams. Went under in Dublin against Kansas State. And of course, last week against Iowa, did go over against South Dakota. And this truly is also line functionality at its finest. Game last year, 51.5, moved up to 56.5. I'll have Iowa State to win this game by 24 points. Rocco Beck just slinging it around the yard. And I do have this game to hit 62 points. Take the over in this game, and let's cash. Going back to the gun, 3:30 p.m., Washington State at North Texas. You talk about slightly obscure games here. I don't know if these teams have really ever played, if I'm being perfectly honest. I do think this is going back to what we said last week when you correctly took Ohio to beat West Virginia. Theoretically, historically, when you see North Texas laying points to Wazoo, it speaks to strength. Gunz, I believe that's the direction you're going here.
Yeah, situational. You just look numerically of how this team performs in this situation is why I'm capping this. I'll get to that in a second. But Washington State's offense, actually, they're off a win versus San Diego State. I capped that one correctly, but I will cap those games all day long and pick that the other team every single time. But San Diego State stinks. Sean Lewis, he's doing his best, but that team is in shambles. This will be Washington State's first road game of the year, by the way, which is 3 weeks in. First road game. They did win 36-13. They look dominant, but I will say this. I think San Diego State's one of the worst teams in college football, if not the worst. North Texas is a team that wants to throw the ball. They have a good quarterback, even though they lost Chandler Morris, who left the program, went to UVA. Drew Messmaker is the quarterback. He has a 64.5 pass completion rate, 5 touchdowns, 0 INTs, and 2 starts this year. He's going to be throwing the rock a lot in this game. That is North Texas football. And Washington State is in a little bit of a look ahead, too. I love the look ahead spots because why? In a weird scheduling situation, because, of course, these two teams aren't in conference anymore, the Apple Cup is next week against Washington. Rivalry game. You may be looking a little bit ahead of this one, even though you're going to Denton, Texas, to go play North Texas. I think this is going to be one of those spots. You have this Washington State team that absolutely dominated at home, highs of highs in late night degenerate special style. Now you got to go on the road to Denton, Texas in your first road game of the year against a really good passing team, probably the best offense you've seen all season, definitely the best offense you've seen all season. And on the factor with the number, single-digit favorite with North Texas, last 6 times, 5-1 ATS. They absolutely perform well in those situations. At home, single-digit favorite. We'll be looking for those spots as we continue to do these shows. I may bring up North Texas again. Give me North Texas here, -5.5, -5 as a play.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point about the look ahead to the Apple Cup. Don't they usually play that later in the season?
They do, but they're not in conference anymore. And all your games are at the end of after the first 4 weeks is all conference games. So they're in the same conference. They could move that to the end of the year. That's why, I think Oregon State and Oregon is going to be playing pretty soon. Bedlam, not Bedlam. What is it? I forget. It's Civil War. They used to call it Civil War. They don't call it Civil War anymore. They call it something else. But yeah, these rivalries are moved up in non-conference now. So that's why you're seeing it.
Yeah, it makes sense. And as we said, when you see a small market team laying to Wazoo, take notice, take North Texas, and keeping it moving. Final play on the card. This is my final play. We're taking Tulane at home against Duke at 8 o'clock. And when I was going through this, I found a lot of intrigue in this game. This game is actually on ESPN2. It's a national game for good reason. The current Duke quarterback, Darian Menza, was actually the quarterback for Tulane last year, which I think is going to have a lot of people who like to narrative handicap backing him due to revenge and motivation. But I think if you really look at Duke this year, last week we said maybe a contrarian special against Illinois at home. Not even close. I don't think Duke is of quality right now, and I think Tulane is. If you look at Tulane, their only home game, they hammered Northwestern at home 23-3 as a small favorite. And Tulane actually currently has last year's BYU standout quarterback, Jake Retzlaff, at QB. And Gunz and I was talking before the show, what is BYU doing? Apparently, he went against their religious norms and decided to take a girl out to dinner. Unfortunately,
is that what they call it now?
But,
what is this, 1950s? You know what happened.
Well, anyway, I'm keeping it PG. We got some kids watching, I'm sure. But
yeah, they courted her and took her to the ice cream social. I mean, we know what happened. It's stuff you can't do in Mormon country. I'll just say that without having a wedding ring on.
Right, absolutely. But anyway, this guy's an elite quarterback. If you guys watched BYU last year, they were basically undefeated at home. They play really high quality of ball. Tulane is extremely uplifted program-wise by this guy being their quarterback. And this goes back to what we just said about North Texas, Ohio last week. You see a smaller conference team like Tulane laying points to Duke. I should light up. It means something. Tulane will win this game. Take Tulane and let's cash. 30 minutes, the fastest 30 minutes you will find in college football We promise you that. It is the Shark and the Gun year 5. Guns, give me a best bet. I'll give them 1, and we'll close it out.
It's Notre Dame. I mean, it's Notre freaking Dame. They're going to get it done at night. They did lose on the road with their freshman quarterback in his first start, but you saw the second half, and the play calling was a little bit like 2024, like Riley Leonard was still the quarterback. Then they started opening it up, and the kid felt comfortable. I thought he made great plays. They're going to run the ball a lot in this game to take advantage of this run game. If they're able to move the ball and run, they're going to dominate this game, and I think the defense will get it done. I know Marcel Reed's very good, but this is a very tough place to play at night, believe me. I think Notre Dame gets it done, so Notre Dame would be my best bet.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that, and I'll post more free plays for you guys on X and in my Telegram channel. Please follow the Telegram channel for free plays and top-level VIP plays as well. We're going to give you the first half in that game as well. I think Notre Dame comes out absolutely ready to go. As I said, it's Marcus Freeman, and going back to last year, off that early season egregious loss against Northern Illinois. I think I said Northern Iowa before. That's a mistake. It was Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois. They came out and just absolutely throttled a very pedestrian bottom-level Purdue team, 42-0 in the first half. And as we said, A&M is just not at that level this year, kind of beating up on mediocre competition so far. So 2 free plays, 2 best bets. First half, Notre Dame -3.5. And game -6 or -6.5. Guns, we'll take a few questions. I'd say give them maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, let's go. Ryan Grams in the chat says, thoughts on Buckeyes covering the spread. Show my alma mater some love. You know, you have Ohio. They're playing Ohio this week. Big spread in that one. And Ohio State treats these games as throttle points and makes it a statement game. I lean towards Ohio State. I do love Ohio a lot. I love the quarterback, and they're coming off a big win against West Virginia at home. I think they even stormed the field. I can't remember, but highs of highs, and then they start getting into MAC conference play. I'm not entirely sure if they're going to be ready for what Ohio State brings to the table. Maybe a first half look would be somewhere I would go with this one, so it doesn't get cheeky at the end, and maybe they pull the starters and you're sitting there and all of a sudden Ohio scores a touchdown. You don't want to see that. So Navarro is an absolute elite quarterback. He's able to get points. So lean towards the first half on Ohio State. That's the way I take that one. Next question on the board. Kent State Buffalo. Do you think Kent State can pull a win? Jesus Christ. All right. You got anything on this one in the MAC?
No, and I made a comment before about how it's no longer Antonio Brown showing out at Central Michigan. This is no longer Julian Edelman at Kent State. This team is historically awful. I mean, last year they were actually going over in totals where they were giving up like over 50 points a game. Lacrosse 22 CS, maybe you've looked at this game in a little more detail than we have. Guns, do you have anything in this one?
Kent State's just terrible. Buffalo situationally is there. You can find some good spots when they get in conference play. It's just not a game that's been on my board. I may have looked at it for a second and just didn't like the spot for Buffalo. I mean, Kent State's they were the worst team in the MAC last year. So, I don't know if they've actually made a comeback or anything like can't read, can't write, Kent State. I know how it works there. But Buffalo, probably the stronger look on this one. But this is a game I would just pass on. This is nothing I have on my card. I don't have it with the VIPs. I don't have it anywhere. So that's probably a complete pass from me. Any other questions in the chat? It's like Phil the Kill says Miami -7 should win. We already talked about South Florida lacrosse. I think you got the look on that one. Any other like obscure questions that you want to ask? And the energy's good. Zen loves us. Shout out to Turnbuckle Tommy. That's a fucking great name, by the way. Anybody else? What I missed?
Yeah, if we don't have any more questions, that's perfect. Just a couple of comments, just going down the top 25 list here. Couple interesting games. Ole Miss against Arkansas. Ole Miss absolutely lit up Arkansas last year. It was Jackson Dart. They scored 63 points in the game. I think you might see another over here. Just to give you guys a look on a game, which is going to have some intrigue here. It's a national game, ESPN 7 o'clock Eastern. We said it last week. Take Ole Miss pretty much every week to go over. They went over at Kentucky. Kentucky is not a team that scores a lot of points. They got there. I think that's probably an overlook. And I know it's a fun play. Saturday night, just spray the over and hang out. Guns, any thoughts?
I got another one in the top 25. You want me to go break that down? I just did a video on it. Clemson versus Georgia Tech. Take Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a dog in conference play, is a must take every single time. I think the last time they didn't cover against Syracuse was last year, but Georgia Tech's the better team. Even though you see that Colorado game, you may have some reservations against that, but look at what they did in the yardage, plus 158 net yards in that game, but they had 3 turnovers. Turnovers to me are uncappable. They're an outlier. You don't see that as a pattern. It's just a 1 game sample, but they won by 7 still. They're going against Clemson. They're playing at home. This is Clemson's first road game. They've looked absolutely terrible in their first 2 games. They got beat in the yardage battle by 93 yards against LSU, and they struggled against Troy. Even though they got the victory on that one, Troy was up for a while, for two scores, I think, at one point. This Georgia Tech team performs well in conference as a single-digit dog. They're on a 6-0 run in those positions. They beat Miami outright, I think, last year, and they're also 9-5 ATS versus ranked opponents. Georgia Tech's a spot. If you can find a 3 out there, I think it exists. I saw 3.5 out there as well. Georgia Tech, and sprinkle on the money line. They're going to get it done against Clemson. Clemson's got nothing left. It's bad over there without having Phil Moffitt in the backfield. They don't have a run game, and it's all on Cade Klubnik, and he's struggling. So I would take Georgia Tech. I love Brent Key and what he's doing over there for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, I'm looking at DraftKings right now. You can get +3. And, truthfully, I think this is just really this is just shocking almost for Clemson. I mean, I'm shocked. I mean, we thought that they would beat LSU in the opener. They covered the first half and then fell apart in the second half. I mean, last week to look that poor for at least 2/3 of the game against Troy is just, frankly, it's inexcusable from an effort standpoint, but it's even more what you said. It's just, is the talent there right now? And you talk about, Dabo Swinney, after Trevor Lawrence left, kind of floundering around here for a while now. And Klubnik quickly dropping in his draft status. I will say that. I mean, there's a lot of risk for Clemson right here, more than just actually losing a football game in September. This is draft status. This is really Dabo Swinney kind of, I would say, hovering in purgatory for a while now. I do lean towards Georgia Tech as well. This kid Haynes King is supposed to play. He's actually a hell of an athlete. He runs he's accumulating 100 yards a game almost in some of these spots. You guys saw him play. He only played once this year. He sat out last week at Colorado, week 1, covered the spread.
He sat out because they wanted him for Clemson. He's correct.
Playing. And just not coincidentally, per the conversation here, they covered the spread at Colorado because he had a 50-yard touchdown run late in the fourth quarter. And we shout to Haynes, thank you for not kneeing down at the goal line. It was a thing of beauty, an old school cover. Just go in the end zone. It's less than 0.01%. You're not going to get backdoored. You're not going to have 3 touchdowns. Analytics, get out of here. But I do think G-Tech is a top look here. We'll see what we get to on that point, but that will wrap it up. 38 minutes in the books. Gunz, give them some words, and I'll close it out.
Yeah, OG Swag, just rewind, man. We broke that game down in the beginning of the show. Don't worry, it ain't going away. This is a full. It'll stay on the Cavalier channel on the lives, but make sure you check us out on Instagram. Why Lose Gunz? Why Lose Shark? I'm doing lives every single Saturday morning at 9 a.m. to talk to you guys. I'm going to be drinking a gallon of coffee. I'm going to be pissing blood, and I'm going to be talking college football for you guys for an hour. And all you have to do is bring the questions. I have looked at every single goddamn game in college football this week, and I will give you my opinions on every single one that you throw at me. But I need the chat to make the show go. Please join me 9 a.m. I'll drop the link on my Instagram, @whylose_guns, and check us out on Telegram. Links in our on Instagram. I'm gonna have a very special deal for the Elite package, and go check that out. I'm gonna drop it on my Telegram today. And it's going to give you the full week, very good price, and I'm going to put a guarantee on there too. So if I don't get to X, then you'll have a full month of my picks for free and cash some tickets. But that's going to do it here. Shark, let's close them out, baby.
Absolutely. Top comment I saw in the chat, our guy Phil the Kill said he's going out tonight, and he said Georgia Tech are obnoxiously persistent.
They are every time. It's like home dog. They're just a smoke factory. They just do it. Like Brent Key looked at the lines. He goes, "What did Vegas say about us today?" Fuck, we're a home dog. You know what you guys need to do, boys. All week preparation done. We're gonna get it. I can't wait. Can't wait for that.
No, I agree. It's a great comment, and I think G-Tech will be certainly that obnoxiously persistent in an early game against Clemson. But that's Joe. 40 minutes for Jay Cavalier. Cash tickets around the world. Coach Rick and the prop master Luke Shuey. He is the gun. I'm the shark. Stay fast, stay strong, stay disciplined, and let's dominate.
Cut my life into